Have you ever really stopped to consider what it takes for one person, one vision, to not just innovate in one industry, but to, well, fundamentally change several? It's pretty rare. Today, we're diving deep into the mind and impact of someone who did exactly that, Steve Jobs.
Right, and our source for this deep dive is really foundational. Selected bits from Walter Isaacson's big biography, Steve Jobs, Visionary Innovator Disruptor.
Mm-hmm.
And our mission here isn't just, retelling his life story. It's more about pulling out the core insights into Jobs' particular genius, his, let's say, often unconventional methods, and what really drove Apple's biggest innovations. It's not just about the gadgets. It's looking at how vision, design, and, a pretty complex personality reshaped the world we live in.
Absolutely. And Isaacson really highlights how Jobs stood at the intersection of the humanities and sciences. That's key. And maybe even more crucial, how he made the whole world realize the importance of design. It wasn't just tech for tech's sake, was it? It was about changing things through technology. But how did that specific blend, that art and science thing, actually lead to so much disruption across different fields?
What's fascinating, I think, is how that exact mix let him shake up industries way beyond just computers. We're talking music, phones, even animation. Jobs just had this almost uncanny knack for anticipating and creating consumer needs. He wasn't just responding to what people said they wanted. Isaacson talks about moments where Jobs just knew what people would want, sometimes before they had any idea themselves. That intuition, that foresight, that's really what set Apple apart.
And you see that power in the big examples, right? The Macintosh. That wasn't just another beige box. With the graphical interface, it completely changed personal computing. It wasn't just about making things look nice, though.
Oh, not at all. The Mac was about making computing, well, approachable, getting rid of that intimidating command line. Isaacson details the intense internal fights Jobs had over every little detail, icons, menus, fonts, making it feel natural. It was radical. More than just a tech step up, it changed how people related to machines. Then you look at the iPod and iTunes. Didn't just digitize music, they blew up the whole industry model, how we bought and listened to digital stuff.
And the iPhone, naturally, reinvented the smartphone, put the real internet in your pocket like no one else had managed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we can't forget the iPad. I mean, it created this whole new device category, right, between a phone and a laptop. And plenty of people were skeptical at first, thought it was just a big iPod Touch or something.
So, thinking about innovation, the insight here isn't just that he blended art and tech, but how he did it. Like Isaacson mentions him pushing engineers about the color of an internal circuit board, something no one would ever see. It speaks volumes about his holistic view, right? What unseen details might you be ignoring that affect the whole picture?
Yeah, and that vision wasn't just broad strokes. It was tied to this almost relentless pursuit of perfection, that famous quote, "Design is not just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it works." That was his mantra, and it went deep into every aspect, even the invisible parts. Isaacson tells stories about him demanding changes to internal layouts.
Stuff no customer would ever see, yeah. Because he believed in this total commitment to quality, inside and out. It wasn't just superficial. And that drove Apple's whole design approach. You can boil it down to maybe three things under Jobs. Simplicity, making things intuitive. Integration, hardware and software feeling like one thing. And aesthetics, making it visually compelling. His work with Jony Ive, the design chief. Legendary stuff. Isaacson describes them spending hours refining tiny details, curves, materials, aiming for that perfect minimalist feel. Those products weren't just functional, they were seen as works of art. And that became a massive differentiator in the market.
So, connecting that back. What does this obsession with detail really tell us about quality? It's not just surface level, it's the whole experience, right? Every piece working together perfectly. It really raises the bar on what well-designed even means. But let's be real, that perfectionism often came tied to a pretty difficult personality. Isaacson calls him mercurial, with exacting standards. He could be brutally honest, apparently, famously calling early ideas shit, only to champion them later. But that demanding style, it did push people to do amazing things.
And that leads right into the famous reality distortion field. His charisma, his conviction, it was so powerful he could make people genuinely believe they could achieve seemingly impossible goals. It had two sides, though. Positively, it absolutely fueled incredible results. The first Mac, Pixar's animation breakthroughs, the secrecy around the iPhone development. People worked insane hours because they believed he could help them do something great.
But there's a cost to that intensity, surely. Isaacson must cover the human toll.
Oh, definitely. The flip side was, yes, unrealistic pressure and burnout. The book has stories of people pushed right to the edge. But often, they'd look back with immense pride at what they achieved because of that pressure. The culture reflected him, that relentless pursuit of excellence, always pushing to think differently, challenge norms, and of course the intense secrecy, partly to build hype, but it also created this high-stakes internal environment.
So think about that paradox for yourself. This difficult, demanding style, but combined with this incredibly compelling vision. How did that actually enable those breakthroughs? It makes you wonder about the limits we place on ourselves, maybe.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. Beyond the products and the personnel, Jobs was also incredibly sharp strategically. He said something like, the best innovation is sometimes the company, how it's organized. He got the power of partnerships. Yeah. And how he used them is revealing. Take the Microsoft investment in '97. Controversial, sure, but it was a lifeline. Apple was really struggling then. Jobs secured that deal, stunned everyone. Or look at Pixar and Disney. He built Pixar, made it a powerhouse, then sold it to Disney for billions, making himself Disney's biggest shareholder in the process.
Masterful.
Masterful. And acquisitions, too. NextT wasn't just about bringing jobs back. It gave Apple the core of Mac OS X. And buying Siri, that got them into voice assistants. These weren't random moves. They were building an ecosystem.
And then the Apple stores. That was a huge bet, wasn't it? The whole industry was skeptical. But Isaacson shows Jobs obsessing over every detail, the layout, the Genius bar. He knew controlling that customer experience was vital. If the stores failed, the whole thing could fail.
He absolutely knew. The stores were designed to be immersive, let you touch and play with everything, get expert help at the Genius Bar. They had those signature elements. Prime spots, iconic designs, minimalist interiors focusing purely on the products. And it worked. It wasn't just about sales. It massively boosted the brand, created that direct connection. It became the model everyone else tried and often failed to copy.
It's striking how he saw the whole picture, beyond just the next device. It was about building this whole world around Apple. It makes you think, what parts of your own environment could you shape more strategically to support your main goal? So let's pull these threads together. We're talking about Jobs' ultimate balancing act, merging that artistic creativity with real commercial success. He had that philosophy, Isaacson quotes it, the goal was never to beat the competition or to make a lot of money. It was to do the greatest thing possible, or even a little greater.
And you really see that in practice. His insistence on beautiful, easy-to-use devices, those iconic marketing campaigns like Think Different. They weren't just selling products, they were selling an idea, an aspiration. Positioning Apple as premium, yeah, but somehow still attainable. And alongside that artistic drive, really sharp business instincts, negotiating tough deals, timing launches perfectly. The iPhone reveal is a classic example. And building that whole ecosystem, hardware, software, services that keeps people invested because, well, it works so well together.
It's just fascinating how that blend, art and business, took Apple from being this niche computer company to one of the biggest players on the planet. So the takeaway for you listening, how can you apply that balance? How do you blend your own vision with practical execution, aiming not just for profit, but for something a little greater?
Yeah, ultimately digging into Isaacson's work really shows the complexity of Steve Jobs. Visionary design, demanding leader, shrewd strategist, that ability to fuse art and commerce. He really did operate right there, that intersection of humanities and technology.
And maybe the final thought to leave you with is this. If Jobs' reality distortion field could push teams to achieve what seemed impossible, what impossible goal might you be capable of if you truly committed to your own compelling vision, even when it feels completely out of reach? This deep dive kind of leaves you with that powerful idea, conviction, plus that relentless drive for excellence. Maybe it really can reshape reality.